Looks like we got four in here. I may wait a few minutes to allow, some more people that may possibly want to come in here for the Friday the 13th watch along that I am going to be doing shortly. I have both the link to Friday the 13th. I see. Curly Jaws is backstage. I'm going to add him soon. He's going under the name Little Jason. It looks like so. I'm going to add him in a second here. Hey, Blissful, and it looks like we got five in here now. I do have my Crystal Lake Summer of 1980 shirt on. I got this and it's got something on it. I don't know what it is. I thought I'd that's terrible. I thought I'd washed this shirt before actually putting it on, but maybe perhaps I didn't. But my niece on Steve's side of the family got this for me a few Christmases ago. And so I thought, well, heck, I'll wear it for this stream. It looks like Curly Jaws has got some. I don't know if those are Jason figurines. I'll ask him here when I get him on here. But they look really cool. It looks like he's got one of the older ones, and then it looks like a Jason X one maybe back there. Bliss, will you say, "Oh no, I need to mentally prepare for him"? So, before I add Curly Jaws, I am going to remind everybody that you're getting kind of like a bonus watch along this week. Because I thought, what the hey, I'll do a watch along for Friday the 13th, because it is Friday the 13th tonight. And speaking of Friday the 13th, I am going to attempt to make this little dessert after. I won't be on camera when I'm making it because I'd probably screw it up because this is going to be the first time with me making it. But I came across a lady on YouTube, Midge. She goes by Midge Munster. Hey, Darren. And she was making Friday the 13th donuts. And I thought, oh, that's a really cool idea. You should check this gal out. She does a lot of different videos. Usually, I guess, on things horror related, but she actually had a machete that she was, when she made this dessert, when she made these jelly Friday the 13th jelly filled donuts, she actually took the machete and slammed it into it, and like some of the jelly actually splattered on the wall and stuff. I mean, you can probably think, well, that's pretty messy. You're going to have to go back and then clean that up. But trust me, it was all for effect, guys. And it was very effective. It made me want to make these donuts. And it also, she had a candle, I believe, from the American Nightmare Candle company. And now I bookmarked their website. Their candles are kind of pricey, but she had a Camp Crystal Lake candle that I thought was really cool. But the company also has like Nightmare on Elm Street candles, um, candles like Amity Island candles, just different ones. I think they even have like a Scream ghost face candle. I mean, it's not in the shape of ghost face or anything, but they, I guess, have come up with some different scents that are related to these different movies. Hey, Tim. What you say? I want a dessert making on camera, Dana. Well, maybe after I've made this once or twice, maybe I will. But like when I screw up, I want to screw up in private. I don't want to be on camera. Say, oops, I made a mistake there. Tim, you say, ha ha, West for real though. What she say? Warm fart candles. Well, I don't know if I'd want that or not. I live with Steve. There's enough farting going on around here without. And if he's watching this, he'll probably say, "Gee, thanks, Diane." But anyway, before anybody asked, Steve didn't offer to be on this live stream with me and if old Curly Jaws hadn't offered, I thought, well, I'll be all my lonesome on here. And I'm eating pretzels, which is not really Friday the 13th related in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, I'll take some pictures when I get the hockey mask Jason donuts done, and I'll put them on Facebook, and I'll put them on the Deadites on Deck Facebook page as well, so you guys can take a gander at them, unless they turn out just really awful, in which case I won't do that. Yeah, I'm going to start calling him that. Steve Warm Fart Benningfield. Timmy say, "Come on, Steve. Hey, he didn't offer to come on, but did you ask him?" Oh, well, I kind of knew what the answer would be. I kind of, not extended the olive branch, but extended the invitation, kind of, sort of. But he's already in bed, as I can hear Wes laughing now. He's already went to lay down, so. But again, I did want to remind everybody that I do have another watch along coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Won't be till 8 o'clock because Steve is going to be on doing his own watch along. So I think he'll be on Twitch or streaming from Twitch doing that. So you guys can watch it or participate in his watch along, then come on over to mine at 8 or 8-ish. Well, she says Steve needs his 18 hours of sleep a day, Yeah, he's like a cat or dog, I tell you. I don't even think our dogs need that much sleep. Hey, X-Ray, you say 1980? What? No remake? No, X-Ray, the remake is not actually, it's actually not bad, in my opinion, but I wanted to do the original. I mean, I know technically there's no Jason until the final few minutes of the film, but I did want to go back to the original. Steve can't sleep without his Flintstone edibles. Okay, so with that being said, I'm just about ready to add old Curly Jaws or Little Jason to the stream. But for any of you other guys, if you're in here now and you decide a little bit later you want to join in, I have the link in the chat, and you can, come backstage at any time. Just, if I'm not paying attention, you might want to tell me a couple of times in the chat, "Hey, I'm backstage, Dana, and I like to come on there." Hey, Menelect. What you say, it's really hard to make a bad Friday the 13th movie, but they did their best with the remake. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get old Curly Jaws on here. Hey, old Curly Jaws.
Hey.
And I like your little Jason figures there.
Oh, yeah. I had them on my shelf, and I'm like, you know what? Why not put them in the frame for the video, since it is Friday the 13th?
It is.
Yeah.
So let me ask you now, how do you feel about the original Friday the 13th?
I love it. It's one of the few originals I say I love. It was the first one I saw Friday the 13th. So I saw this one first. I didn't, I know a lot of people have they saw part 4 first. They saw part 6 first. I saw the original one first. So I didn't when I first saw it, I didn't know about the ending or anything. So when Jason at the end, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie by now, why are you watching this? he pop at the end of the movie where he pops out, and I'm like, I about shit myself when that happened.
Did you really?
Because I was like maybe 15 or 14 years old when I first watched it.
Gotcha. Now, believe it or not, I did not watch the original Friday the 13th first. So you're a step ahead of me on that. I think probably the first one I watched may have been part 3. That's a hell of a one to watch first. But that, in my neck of the woods, that's the one that came on television all the time.
See, I was always picky. I had to watch my movies in order, so I'm like, I wouldn't want to be like, okay, I'm not gonna skip all the way till 6 because
right.
I'm really weird about that. I'm like, I gotta watch him in the order.
So, Curly Jaws X-Rays wanting to know where the Street Shark action figures are at.
Street Shark. Oh, I would love to give me some of those. Those are hard to get.
And Darren says, I'm surprised how popular the remake is now. Never used to be, though. I think
I love the remake. I thought it's probably the best horror remake, like hands down. There's not a better horror remake than Friday the 13th.
I think that it's a decent one. I did not hate it. I had fun with it.
Like, I mean, you get a lot of Jason. You get a lot of like cool shots, good kills. I thought some of the characters were good. Like overall, I thought it was a solid flick. And I mean, Derek Mears is probably hands down the best Jason to ever get the hockey mask.
I would have to give that credit to Kane Hodder, but I'm really, Derek Mears was good, and I've heard that Derek Mears is a really nice guy.
Oh, super nice. I love him.
But I guess Kane Hodder for me was the first guy ever associated with multiple times wearing the hockey mask. And he just became my Jason. I guess for my generation, that was the Jason. I was like, this is the guy that I saw in Fangoria magazine when I first started, getting into Fangoria and Gore Zone and stuff like that.
So you never met Derek Mears?
No, I have not. I would just like to meet him just because everybody says what a nice guy he is. Even if I had hated that remake, I still wouldn't mind going up to Derek Mears and meeting him.
I mean, what makes people not like it? Like, I thought, I thought it was a cool, like, it was a modern take on an 80s class, or an 80s classic.
Right. And there have been a lot worse remakes. I mean, I could name a ton of worse remakes. I can actually sit down and watch the Friday the 13th remake and not be upset at all. I actually like the Friday the 13th remake better than I did Jason X. Even though Jason X has Kane Hodder in it as Jason, I hate Jason X.
I love Jason X. That was a guilty pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I saw the DVD at my local. I don't know if you guys remember buybacks. Do you have a buybacks where you're at?
I don't think so. I've heard of it, but I don't think they've ever been around me.
Oh, well, ours closed down a few years ago, and I miss it because it was amazing. You got some really cool stuff in there. But I remember seeing Jason X in there, and I'm just like, this just looks like a trip.
So Darren says the remake never used to be popular, but it is now. He says he thinks people have mellowed after the last 3 Halloween turds. And that's possible. That is possible.
I mean,
X-Ray says the remake was legit fun. Jason was like the Terminator.
That's what I mean, Jason was the most scary, I think, in any of the films in the remake. Like, because he popped out of fucking nowhere. Like, he was just so unpredictable in that movie. That's what I like.
And X-Ray also says it had the same shit as the old movies did. Dumb teenagers, tits, really nasty kills, even had a psych out ending.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's when people say they don't like it. I'm like, it had everything the original and the sequels had. Like, I don't that never makes sense to me. But I'm like, to each their own. But I'm like, I was like, it's one of my favorites. Like, I put it up there with like Part 8. Everybody shits on Part 8. I love Part 8.
I like Part 8. I enjoy it.
Part 8 is like my second. The remake in Part 8 always tie for me as my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like Part 4. I hated Part 4. Everybody.
Yeah, and I love Part 4. Part 4 is one of my favorites, and I'm gonna try to watch that one tonight. Actually, I was gonna start with the original, but I thought, hell, if I'm doing a watch along for the original, then I need to start with the second one, not just kind of repeat myself a little bit. X-Ray says Jason ran and had that underground base. It explained how he teleported so much in the older films.
Exactly. He has his underground lair. Did you notice like a lot of the horror like remakes had people with underground lairs? Freddy had one. Jason had one. I don't know if Leatherface had one either, but he probably did.
You know, I never heard things referred to as layers until my cousin Jed that I've talked about. He was my horror movie and general movie watching buddy for a long time, but he has always been really into horror movies and Friday the 13th movies in particular. And he always talked about layers. You know, so and so had a layer. And when he started making his own little short films, he would call the places where the killer hid out layers. And so he was really the first one that kind of clued me into that was a thing that people were, talking about. Let's see. Darren says Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell are my least favorites, along with the remake. Not a fan of the New Line stuff. I think New Line took it in directions that Paramount would have never dared go. And that worked for some people. It didn't work for some people. So
But I mean, you didn't care for the giant worm baby thing, and Jason goes that didn't tickle your fancy.
I think I was excited about Jason Goes to Hell when it first came out because it seemed like we really hadn't seen a good Jason movie in a while. And so I was excited about that. And I actually thought that they were going to go back to Crystal Lake. And I'm talking about old school Crystal Lake. And it didn't quite turn out that way. So I was a little disappointed when I actually watched the entire film. Let's see. Hey, John. John says I got Friday Part 4 and 5 soundtracks from Waxwork today. Oh, you lucky dog. Jason's killing my wallet. It sounds like. John, you say you watched 4 earlier. 4 is pretty solid. I think, though, Curly Jaws will beg to differ with me and you on that, though, John.
I just Jason getting killed by a kid. I was like, no, no.
Darren says for me, Friday finished after Part 8. I can watch the later films, but I don't go back too often. Yeah, that's kind of like me, Darren. Let's see.
Did you like Part 5?
Early on, I did. I don't think I appreciated what exactly they were trying to do with Part 5, and I guess I felt kind of cheated, with the imposter Jason and all of that business. But now I find the movie fun. And I know Wes will probably want to take credit for that on the Dead Pit side, but I think I had mellowed to that movie before I started listening to Dead Pit. In all honesty, though, but I enjoy it even more now. I think Dead Pit did encourage me to go back and really focus on the crazy funny parts like Ethel and Junior and all of that business and just how wacky the movie was. And I think I more understand maybe what Danny Simon was trying to do with that movie now. So John says New Line was always more of a Freddy franchise, and I agree with that as well. Darren says the opening to Jason Goes to Hell is killer, but goes downhill with the possession storyline. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people cared for that possession storyline, Darren, actually.
You didn't like Freddy versus Jason, right?
Again, I was excited for Freddy versus Jason when I first started hearing about it because I was like, we've been waiting for this a damn long time. And, we finally got it. And then, things started to fall apart when I got in there and I sat down to theater because I went to the theater with my cousin Jed, and I was dressed as Freddy, not with the complete makeup or anything, but I had a Freddy sweater on and I had the plastic Freddy glove that you used to get around Halloween time. And I probably told this story before, but this is something I'll remember forever. There was a Japanese guy there, a Japanese guy and a girl, and they had their kimonos on and everything. I mean, they were real Japanese people. And I remember the Japanese guy was sitting right next to me in the theater, and he saw my Freddy sweater and my glove, and he said, "Oh, can I see your glove?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I took it off, and like he was just amazed with it. But I'll never forget that. That was a trip. But then,
Freddy Krueger.
I just wasn't really. When the movie started, I was like, "What the hell? What did they do to this movie?" What?
I loved it. I thought it was.
I figured you would have loved it. And then to come to find out that they didn't even let Kane Hodder play Jason, and it was like, what the hell? What?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was kind of stupid. Like
that was shitty because if you hear Kane Hodder talk about that time period now, he says they pretty much let him think that he had the job of Jason as he had the last several films, and then they just pulled the rug right from under him all of a sudden. I don't get it. But so I'm going to try to read quickly through these last few messages here so people don't feel ignored. And then we're going to make sure everybody's queued up and ready to go, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Where the fuck is Uncle Bill at?
Uncle Bill's probably preparing for. Ain't he got a stream coming up a little later?
I don't know. I think maybe he's doing his own Friday the 13th. I think that's today.
Yeah, I think he's ranking them or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, shit, he has time to watch the original.
Tim, you say 1, 2, 8, and 5 are my faves. John, you say, to me, the best Jason scene ever is either him busting through the door in 4. I really like that one. Or him reaching out to Dana Kimmel with the machete in his head, part 3. I agree with those two classic images, John.
An amazing scene when he's in the sewer in part 8. He transforms back into a baby.
And a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people hated that.
Or a kid. I was like, that's different.
Apollo says 2 is my favorite, but all the others kind of shift around in my ranking up to part 7. Have you guys talked about the Bay of Blood influence yet? I have not opposed, but it's good to bring that up because it was always said that two pretty much ripped off Bay of Blood. Now, oh, Curly Jaws, have you seen Bay of Blood?
No, what's that?
It's an it's a Bava film, so I don't know how many of those foreign horror films that you've seen.
The only foreign horror films I've seen are like the what the hell's his name? The guy who made Zombie and Zombie 2.
Oh, Fulci.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff, and like there was this one weird one I saw, and I can't. Oh, what was it? Oh my gosh, it's gonna drive me nuts. It's like the plot is like this old lady makes people out of burgers or something.
Trying to think here. I should know this. I really should know this, and I'm drawing a blank. Man, maybe somebody else will boost my memory there. But yes, Apollo, there's scenes in part two that look like they could have been lifted directly from Bay of Blood, just using different actors. For instance, when the couple that's having sex gets skewered on the bed, that is really, I'll be totally honest, it does look like a ripoff of a very similar scene in Bay of Blood. So there definitely are similarities. I'm not going to lie there. Applause, you say, why did the Friday the 13th remake have such lame kills, though? Was there a reason behind the scenes? That I couldn't tell you, Apollos. Do you have any insight into that on Curly Jaws? You probably didn't think the kills were lame, though.
No, I thought they were dope.
X-Ray, you say Uncle Bill is busy watching Eli Roth movies, his favorite director. Darren, you say over the years I've started to see this one as being the most well-made of the franchise. I do like 2, 4, 5, and 7 a lot too. X-Ray says Friday 6 was the most epic. Tommy Jarvis versus Jason, the final conflict. I do enjoy part 6. A lot of people don't.
What about part 3? I like part 3.
I like part 3, except for one thing, and I brought this up before. Dana Kimmel. Now, I enjoy the 3D. I just wish that I'd gotten to watch it originally in the theaters, like it was being seen. Dana Kimmel gets on my last nerve because, and Steve laughs at me because I bring this article up all the time. But there was an old article in Fangoria called "The Women of Crystal Lake," and they interviewed basically the final girls from the Friday the 13th up until that point. And I forgot exactly how many were out at that time. So, you know, I think they interviewed Adrienne King. They interviewed Amy Steele. And, of course, they interviewed Dana freaking Kimmel. And, like, all she wanted to talk about was how she thought that there were several things in part 3 that were immoral. And she made them make changes to it because she said she wasn't doing that. And there was a couple of things, like I think her character was supposed to get her head cut off. And I was like, that would have been awesome. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. That would not happen to that character. That's what she basically told Steve Miner. It's like, what?
That would have been like, you're gone.
Yeah, I guess Steve Miner was too nice of a guy, and he just put up with her. But yeah.
Did you like part 7?
Part 7, I like really well. Some people don't. But hell, that has the sleeping bag kill in it. How can you not like that?
Plus, it's Jason versus Carrie.
Yeah, exactly. Darren, you say Sean Cunningham Production Company had the rights to Bay of Blood before the first Friday came out. So he definitely pinched from it for sure. You are right, Darren. I've forgotten about that. X-ray, you say part 3 had some kills. I LOL'd when that black biker guy attacked Jason from behind, and then he did a 180 with that machete and chopped his arm off. Yeah. Darren says Dana Kimmel's acting is atrocious and takes me out of part 3. Well, there's that too. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I would like for them to do like a remaster to part 3 and re-show it in theaters in 3D. That'd be dope.
Yeah, I would go for that.
Mm-hmm.
With or without Dana Kimmel, I would go for that. So, apologies say I did hear the director of the remake wanted to make Jason more realistic. So I guess that's the reason. But I was wondering if they were toying with making this a soft R-rated movie to appeal to teens. Anything's possible with this, you know.
Are you excited for that Crystal Lake show that's supposed to be coming out?
I guess I hadn't even heard about it. Oh, Curly Jaws. So have you seen anything like actual previews?
I think there might have been a poster, but I don't know if that was real or not. I think it's supposed to be on HBO Max.
I'm going to ask Steve about it because I don't think that I've heard him say anything about it.
Which I'm just like, I'd rather just them make another movie. Like, I don't care about no damn show.
Well,
especially about little Jason. I don't give a fuck about little Jason.
If they could make a good movie, I'd say yeah, but and don't throw things at the screen to try to hit me, yo Curly Jaws. But I think I told Uncle Bill this one night when he was on a stream with me that I'm done with Halloween movies. I don't care if I ever hear or see of another Halloween movie in my life. I'm just done. I'm done.
Was the last one that just like you were just done?
Yeah, I think me and Steve were both done.
Oh, that last one's my favorite.
It's that generation thing again.
I like I can't think of his name. What is his name? The other killer besides Michael Myers.
So X-Ray says Friday 3 had the creepiest ending, I think. Jason looking out of that porthole, then busting through the mesh door Kool-Aid Man style.
Oh yeah, that was a good was dope.
That was pretty cool. And that look and stuff that they had designed for Richard Brooker, the makeup and all that was pretty cool.
You know, it's interesting. Jason's makeup changes in each film. Like, he's always looking different in each movie.
Darren says the TV series is going to be a prequel, and Tim says on Peacock by the A24.
Oh, okay. A20. Okay, then it might be good. I like A24. Well, I loved X. Pearl was a big disappointment for me, but so I'll give it a chance just because I loved X, and I'm like, okay, if they can do it like X, maybe I might like it.
And X-Ray says the Friday show is going to be woke as fuck. Mrs. Voorhees is going to be a hardcore butch, and Jason's going to be BIPOC and triracial Eskimo. Oh my gosh, I would absolutely die if that's what happened. And Paul says a little Jason series is way too politically incorrect unless they
see that's where they screwed up. They should have not have called the show Crystal Lake. That's just dumb. They should have called it Little Jason.
There you go.
That would have been
no doubt about what this show is.
Little Jason.
Okay, so is everybody queued up and ready to go? You know, if you didn't want to use the link I provided, you could, watch it on your own and try to get it.
If you have Paramount Plus, it's on there.
I don't know if it's on Shutter right now or anything like that. I don't know.
I think it might be. I know it's on um, Amazon Prime.
Cool. Yeah, I think I saw it on Amazon Prime, but I didn't know how many. I have Amazon Prime, but I didn't know how many other people.
Right. Like, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, with Friday the 13th, I mean, you're going to find a way to watch it. Like, it's everywhere. Like, it's probably the most easy to find horror film. Like, it's really easy to find.
Yeah, this one's, there have been things that I thought would be easy to find links to, and I couldn't find them.
Yeah.
And other things that I thought, oh, I'll never find a link to this, and boom, there it is. It's just not on YouTube or whatever. So I'll give this another minute or so. Let me know, guys, if you need me to repost that link or anything. I will do that. But I'll let everybody know, I've got mine queued up on Vimeo to the Paramount logo where it says Paramount Gulf Western Company. So if that helps you get synced up, I think that would be a good place to start it. And I've got my sound muted because I've seen this movie a gazillion times. And I don't think that I need the audio going because I could probably repeat the
Yeah, I got mine. I got my volume on like 7 or 6.
Sometimes if it's not one of the movies that I've seen a million times, I will turn on subtitles if they're available and keep track there. But all right, so I'm not hearing anybody say, wait, I'm not queued up. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do the 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to get this party started here. So 3, 2, 1, press play. So we're at actually the second Paramount logo. So somebody must have ripped this, I bet, from the probably a DVD or something.
Did you have now? I remember when I first saw the Friday the 13th. The first time I ever saw it, like at a public place, was at Walmart, and it was the 2-pack DVD set of the first one and the second one.
Yep. I bought so many incarnations of the Friday the 13th films over the years.
Oh, well, yeah, it's the most released horror film ever. Like, there's so many editions of that franchise. Like, I used to be a big collector in that series, and then I'm like, well, there's so many Friday the 13th editions. There's no way you're going to be able to collect every edition of that movie, and that'd take you years.
This and Evil Dead and Halloween, they have so many incarnations. It seems like as soon as you think you've got all the incarnations, another one comes out. And it's all about money. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, I would really wish they would release the Friday the 13th, each movie unrated, the original footage, nothing cut, in a box set, all the films.
That would be interesting.
Like, call it the unrated cut of showing everything, and never, but like just every the most epic set they could come out with. Like,
I'm waiting for them to come out, and I know it's coming. They're going to put out a box set of them all in 4K because they've already put the first one out in 4K. And of course, I bought it. I should have been smart and waited, but I couldn't wait. And I'm going to be kicking myself when they put that 4K box set out. Let's see. Darren, you say we are going to get the backstory of Pamela being pregnant. It's going to be bad, like Leatherface 2017. I'm not sure if Curly Jaws is frozen or I think he's frozen. Apologies say, were there lots of summer camp movies before this? I can only think of piranha and meatballs. Oh gosh. I guess Little Darlings might be an example of a summer camp movie. Probably I could think of a ton others if you hadn't asked me that, Apollos. Apollos, you also say the Friday series was the expensive for me to collect in the early days of DVD. I have never spent so much on one franchise, even in these days of Blu-ray collections. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with old Curly Jaws, but I'm going to remove him temporarily. Well, and then I'm going to see if hopefully he'll come back and I can re-add him because I think something was going on there. Hopefully he'll get to come back. I'm going to keep going back and forth between the movie and to double check. Hope I didn't lose him completely. Because he was basically the only one that wanted to be on the stream with me live. So I'll talk about this a little bit. I mean, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, guys. You know, and this became a trope. Actually, it had become a trope of horror films even before this movie. And what's the trope? The trope is if you have sex, you die. Especially if you have sex and you're not married. So this guy is toast. There's a Curly Jaws. Now he's Canadian Jason. All right. Okay, got you back. Great.
Yeah. I like this one of my favorite scenes right here, the slow-mo.
Oh yeah, and the way it fades into white instead of fading into black. And this is also so simple but so effective. The Friday the 13th title coming up and breaking through glass. And who could forget Harry Manfredini's masterful music as well? And Tom Savini. You know what would be cool? We've got 11 people in here now. If we got 13 people and it held at 13 for Friday the 13th.
That'd be great. Is this the first Friday the 13th you did a live stream for?
I believe so.
Make every Friday the 13th you do the next sequel.
Now there's an idea. We're going to have another Friday the 13th in October.
So do part 2 in October.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
Hopefully we'll have like 3 or 4 films by then.
Right.
Like, it just baffles me that we haven't had a movie since 2009.
Yeah.
But look how many Halloweens we've had.
Yeah, which also makes me a little nervous, too.
I mean, look how many Texas Chainsaw Massacres we've had.
Yeah. Well, there's something that you don't see now. You guys see the telephone,
Yeah.
like telephone out there? People will probably laugh that this reminds me so much of like the little small town stores and little restaurants and stuff where I'm from. I'm
Yeah,
from
like
a place.
there's some places like that around here and down by my grandmother's. Like, I wish there was more places like that because those are the best food places, the
Oh
best
my
just
yes.
atmosphere.
Actually, when Steve and I were dating, uh, he came to visit me. Well, actually, I think I was going to go back to Louisville with him, but we were spending time in Hancock County for a little bit, and I wanted to take him to this place called Tim's, and it was just a little like mini mart type of grocery store, but they also had a restaurant in there where they would make you burgers and fries and stuff like that and sandwiches.
It's
And
got a death cuz.
but you know what? Steve was not impressed by Tim's.
Huh.
I think he's been out of rural areas or country areas too long. I think he's lived in Louisville too long at this point.
See that? No, I don't. Nothing beats stuff like that. Like I'd rather go get food at a gas station because I know it's gonna be freaking awesome.
Right.
Hmm.
I bet we were kind of talking over that scene, but of course that's the point of this. But when he like is helping her get in the truck, he kind of pushes on her butt.
Yeah.
I bet he liked that.
See now, if you try doing that in a movie,
Oh my
that's God. They have a stroke.
gosh. They probably call rape on that. I didn't give you permission to touch my ass. That's rape. Darren, you say this is kind of the ideal way to watch this as we are currently experiencing a 12-hour storm here in the UK. Ooh,
Damn.
yes.
It was like that. It was storming here yesterday.
Yeah, it stormed in Louisville
Hmm.
yesterday, and I thought, I was working. Of course, I'm working from home now, but I told the people I was working with, I said, just a FYI, it's storming really bad here right now, so I could lose power and or internet. And so my supervisor like texted me and said, "Have you lost power?" And I'm like, "No, thankfully things have calmed down and we didn't lose power."
Yeah, my dog's. He's a big old German Shepherd, but he was scared shitless.
Yeah, my dogs don't like storms. Except for Brandon, he can't hear them. So if it's thundering loud, oh Brandon, he can't hear them.
He's just like, oh, I'm good, y'all.
I'll just sleep through this. That's all.
Does Steve sleep through storms? Is he like good about that?
Yeah, the only time he gets pissed during a storm is if the tornado sirens go off. Like, see, that's meant to protect you. It means that you could possibly be in danger. And like that time where they were going off like crazy, they just kept going off and going off and going off. And he got out of bed and he was like, "What the fuck is going on? I don't know what's going on." And I said, "There's bad weather in the area, Steve. That's why somebody probably saw a funnel cloud or something." But Darren says you should get CK and UB on to do a part 5 commentary in October. That would be awesome. And it could be more than CK and UB. I mean, we could get some more people on here. I'm not sure how Uncle Bill's internet would hold up because we had several people on for the New Year's Evil watch along, and Uncle Bill basically got kicked out and couldn't get back in. So I don't know if it's just his internet or what, something was going on with StreamYard that night or what the deal was. Um, but yeah, that's an idea, Darren. If I can get CK and Uncle Bill on board for that, then maybe we can do that. Apology, say this should have got Christopher Cross to do the theme song for this. that would have been a whole other movie, I think.
I'm just thinking about it right now. Like, it all started with this movie and how big this, just from this film, this franchise is now.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask all you guys this, including you, old curly jaws. Do you think this movie might have enhanced Kevin Bacon's future career?
I think even if he wasn't in it, I think he still would have been a star.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he doesn't like. I think he. I don't know if he's felt different about the film now. I know he used to not care about mentioning it.
Yeah, he would talk about Animal House or something like that, but he wouldn't mention this film. And he has a bigger part in this film than Animal House.
Yeah, like, I think now he doesn't mind talking about it. I don't know if it's still this. That's how he feels, but
he's probably mellowed over the years.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was in Tremors. I think he liked being in Tremors.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Other people might not feel the same as me, but the Alice character that Adrian King plays, and my phone's going off, but I'll have to check it later. But anyway, Adrian King's character of Alice there, the blonde, I would have loved to have had a little more of a backstory on her because she seems like she's troubled by something. And she mentions about maybe having to go back to California to straighten something out. And you can tell that Steve Christie has the hots for her too. So there's that as well.
I like this guy's hair. Like, that's kind of like what mine looks like right now.
So Darren says he's made, and I assume he's talking about Kevin Bacon. He's made a few commercials referencing it here in the UK in the last few years. I don't know. I'm not making fun of Steve Christie or anything, or making fun of the guy that plays him, but I just don't find him that sexy. He almost seems like an ex-hippie type or something. Like, he wouldn't get away with that now. Caressing these women's cheeks and stuff like that. There's no way. But I think she has a thing for this guy. Bill, who's painting the dock right now. And that actor is Harry Crosby.
Harry Crosby.
And the attractive girl there with the necklace on, standing next to Ned in the red shirt, she unfortunately passed away at a young age of cancer, I believe. That is Laurie Bertram.
Did you play the Friday the 13th, any of the games, the newer game or the old game for the NES?
I played the old NES game, and that was a freaking hard game. I never hardly got anywhere in that game.
Yeah, I played it. I played it a few times.
Addicted to it though. I couldn't play it worth shit, but I was addicted to playing it. And the new game, I have played it a little bit.
Yeah, the new game was great.
That's a very dangerous thing he was doing, and she doesn't even act like it was that serious.
I swear, that's like shit like that. Kids, I'd say like back in my age, like we were doing like stupid shit like that. But now you try doing that, you'd be put in a freaking mental institution.
Probably. So I think we're supposed to, or maybe some people might have thought it's a Jeep. Steve Christie was in a Jeep. Maybe Steve Christie's the killer. On first watch of this, if you had never seen this movie before, you might think that. Okay, this is a little funny thing, and not a lot of people may have paid attention to this. So, I think she tells the truck driver who gave her a lift earlier that she says she hates when people call them kids, or she might have said it here, but she calls them kids at an earlier time. I think with the truck driver, she says, I'll be cooking for 20 kids and 10 staff or something like that. And then she tells this person, I guess I always wanted to work with children. I hate when people call them kids. It sounds like little goats. So I always found that funny. That wasn't smart. I know she wanted to get out of there, but look what she did to herself. Paul, you say, I wish there was an alternate part 2 with Alice going rogue on Jason like that chick at the end of Just Before Dawn. Yeah, that would have been interesting. Have you seen Just Before Dawn, old Curly Girls?
No, I have not.
I think you might like that one.
I'll have to check it out.
So, what does everybody think about Tom Savini's effects in this movie? Do you like them? I mean, they're definitely old school effects.
Very good for the time.
Mm-hmm. And I've said this before, I much prefer old school latex and fake blood and bladders and, all of that stuff than I do. I love computers, but when we're talking about special makeup effects, I would much prefer this old school look to them. And maybe because that's what I grew up with. Okay, we're soon going to come to this. You can see the skimpy bottoms that Kevin Bacon has on. Okay, and I'm going to see if anybody agrees with me. I've talked about this before at other points in times, but I'm going to wait till it actually gets closer before we discuss this. So somebody's kind of spying on them there. And we don't know yet who this person is. Nettie's a prankster, I tell you. Okay, here is the scene. Okay, see if you notice anything very strange about Kevin Bacon here. Did you notice it on Curly Jaws?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been kind of debatable over the years. Does Kevin Bacon have a boner there, or does he not? Inquiring minds want to know. Anybody else in the chat think he's got a boner there? It certainly looks like it to me, from a woman's perspective. Apologies say his effects sometimes come across as magic tricks. Yeah, they definitely do. And that's if you've watched any stuff about Savini, for instance, his Grande Illusions, his books, and the video that they made back in the 80s, and also the Smoke and Mirrors documentary on Savini, he says that it is magic tricks to him. And that's the way he's always thought of his effects. You say he got really creative with Creepshow and Day of the Dead, though. Yeah.
He did the effects for from Dusk Till Dawn, right?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember if he did or K and B did those, or they kind of worked together on it. I'm a little fuzzy on that now.
That's probably one of my all-time favorite movies.
I love that one too.
We need to do a commentary from Dusk Till Dawn.
I will definitely put that in my wheelhouse. Darren, you say I prefer the effects in The Burning and The Prowler, but these effects are pretty good. He also did Maniac the same year. That's 4 classics and basically just over.
I will say, like, when people say which movie do you prefer, The Burning or Friday the 13th, I would always say The Burning.
Now, see, me and CK have the debate, which is a better movie, Madman or The Burning? And I always say The Burning.
The Burning.
Yeah.
Madman.
Madman is fun. But if I have to say which is the better horror film, it's The Burning.
The Burning is a better character, better story, better effects. Like the great debate, that'd be a great episode. Burning versus Madman.
I may have to do that. Maybe I could get CK on for that, or maybe CK and Uncle Bill. And we could have you on there. Me and you could be the Burning people, and they could be the Madman people. That would be great.
I mean, The Burning was just such an awesome movie and just really cool effects.
But The Burning was one that slipped under my radar for many, many years, and I think I know why. Because the first few times I saw the video in the video store, I would look over it because it had such an unassuming cover to it.
Really? I thought the cover was cool.
Well, the original cover had the couple in the lake
Mm.
embracing, but if you didn't look close enough, you
Mm.
would not see that shadow of Cropsey with the shears. And I think
So,
I just wasn't focusing enough on it. And then one day in the video store, I picked it up and actually flipped it over and was reading about it and saw a
mm.
few more pictures. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm renting this. And I loved it from then on out.
You know what's funny? How my introduction to The Burning was when Netflix first came out. I was streaming through Netflix and I saw The Burning was on there, and I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting." And I watched it. I'm like, "This movie is great."
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's a I mean, how could you not find it great? I mean, I'm not going to argue with anybody over it, really. I will have a healthy, friendly debate, but, I'm not going to say somebody's stupid for not liking it, but I just don't know how you can really watch that movie and say it's not a good movie.
I'm surprised The Burning never got a sequel.
But, I'm kind of glad they kept it as a one off
Mm.
because look what they've done to other franchises. If Cropsey had become a franchise, I don't know. I just don't know what they would have eventually trashed it, I think. Just my opinion, though. Darren says Savini is a legend. I agree with that. Savini was pretty much my effects guy growing up. And I went through a period of time in my young life where I was super, super into special makeup effects. And I thought at one time that I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that as a job, but I never could, I would have loved to went to Savini school, you know, but I just didn't have the money. My parents didn't have the money to send me to anything like that. Um, so that kind of fell by the wayside, but I still really appreciate good makeup effects.
Speaking of just memorable characters, this one right here, it's a death cut.
Crazy Ralph. Yeah.
Like I'm sad. I kind of wish Crazy Ralph would have been like the guy that survived the entire franchise. Like he's just in every sequel saying it's all you're all due. He did that's. I mean, I wish, but he only made it to part two. Sadly,
Yeah, he could have done the same thing in every one of them. I told the others, but they didn't listen to me. Just like he says in part two when he shows up
yeah.
outside the phone booth.
Mm. He's gonna get his own origin story on a HBO Max.
This chick on the left in the brown corduroy pants and the little bitty shirt, she was way ahead of her time, guys, because she was wearing shirts 2 or 3 sizes too small in a day where people just weren't doing that. That came a little bit later, so she was ahead of her time. Let's see. Let me read a few more of these comments off here. Let's see. Apologies say if he had a boner, it gives a whole new meaning to 6 degrees to 7 bacon. Yes, it does. So apologies say K and B did dusk. Have you seen the weird stuff they cut from the movie Curly Jaws?
Oh yeah.
Darren says The Burning is his favorite camp slasher. Apollo says the only problem I have with The Burning, the middle of the movie where I always lose interest. So, are you talking about Apollo when the canoes are gone and they're trying to build something? Trying to build a raft. Because I could see where people could think that that was a little bit slow. Yes, Darren Savini did turn down Friday 2 to do the burning. Paul, she said, I think in the early 80s, you could have got a job as an effects artist on these independent movies if you could show your ability. Rick Baker kind of started that way. Yeah, if you could get your foot in the door, because John Landis, well, actually, Rick Baker tells the story about John Landis came to his house or his home studio where he had some effects work. And he said there was this guy who came into my room and he was touching all my stuff. I just love that story Rick Baker tells about John Landis. Darren, you say, they are going to include Crazy Ralph in the TV series. All right, there you go, old curly jaws.
Good.
So poor Ned, he's feeling left out because Kevin Bacon's got the hot chick. And he's got nobody. Nobody wants Ned. I would go for Ned. He's cool.
I kind of wish if they would have done this Crystal Lake series. I wish they would have done it a lot sooner. So, the original actress that played Mrs. Voorhees could have been in it.
Oh yeah. I feel bad that I never got a chance to meet Betsy Palmer. Sue did, and he said she was a real nice lady.
Yeah, I've never met her.
Oh, I remember those old flashlights too that had those big batteries on them.
Like, they never got Betsy Palmer to come back. Every time they always got some other old lady.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason was that she wanted too much money and like.
Yeah, but man, she was Betsy Palmer. I think the only reason she did this one is because she needed a new car.
Mm-mm.
Apology say Crazy Ralph will be the suave, handsome hunk of the show, slowly driven mad by Pamela Voorhees. Man, Apollo, I love how your mind works.
Yeah, the original actor that played Crazy Ralph, he died a few years ago, right?
I think so. He lived quite a long time.
I think half the cast is gone by now.
Oh, Curly Jaws, did you ever hear me tell the story about I saw Ari Lehman, who plays the young Jason in this one. I saw him in the hall at a hotel at a convention I was at, and he just was like just walking around the hall, like saying hey to everybody. And he saw me, he said, "Hey, how you doing?" It's just like he had known me for 10 years or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Polish, you're right. It probably didn't help that Siskel and Ebert gave away her address on national TV. Yeah, they did. I'm sorry to speak ill of the dead, but they were turds doing that.
Oh, Roger and Ebert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck them.
I mean, I'm sorry. The horror. They may have both died of cancer. Him and Gene. Did Gene Siskel have a brain tumor? Did he have brain cancer, or did something else get him?
I think he ate too many mashed potatoes or something. But yeah, they both. I never like everybody was saying there were like the reviews meant something. I'm like, they're a bunch of jackasses. Like, they hated half the films they reviewed. I'm like,
Yeah, and I mean they were. How big of a turd do you have to be to give out some actor or actress's address on national
if
television?
I was the person, I would have sued both of them.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess Betsy Palmer just decided to be a better person than they were and just let it slide. Darren, you say doxing someone these days is an offense. They hated the old slasher films but loved Halloween. Yeah, they were just very uneven. They would just come out of the blue sometimes.
which if I'm someone's like said, which is better, the original Halloween or Friday the 13th? I'd say Friday the 13th is better.
Which I think again, it's a little bit of that generational thing. I think I'm probably a little bit more old school. And so, as much as I love the original Friday the 13th, I would have to go with Halloween on that. But I can see how people would say something different. Oh, I think I lost old Curly Jaws again. Hopefully he'll come back. Hopefully his phone didn't lose power. Apologies say they were super harsh against movies with violence against women, Blue Velvet being an example, and children in danger. They didn't like that aspect of Aliens. I wonder, I never seen them review E.T., Apollos. Do you know what they thought about E.T.? So Kevin Bacon's getting some here, but oh man. Oh, it's Dead Ned with a slit throat. Does anybody play Monopoly anymore? I mean, and this is like the original Monopoly. Boy, we got all kinds of incarnations of Monopoly now. I think there might have even been Stranger Things Monopoly. Oh, well, Disco Inferno Jason is back. Okay. Well, he went away. I went to add him and he disappeared. Oh, I think he was telling me he'd be back in a little bit. Okay. So I'll have to keep you guys entertained until old Curly gets back. Sorry to be making so much noise with my snack there, guys. So here's another. Well, we've switched to the Kevin Bacon scene, but I was going to say another trope to horror movies. Smoking dope and or smoking pot and drinking beer. And now we got Kevin Bacon with his joint, so the additional thing. This is another really, I like this, and it's probably similar scenes like this have been done to death now, but in 1980, this was great. And I actually have both of Tom Savini's Grande Illusions books, where he basically breaks down all the effects. And I especially like in the first Grande Illusions where he talks about the Friday the 13th effects. Okay, so we got Ronnie James Dio in here. All right, let's add him here. Okay. Ronnie James Dio, Jason, excuse me. Okay. Chucky's looks like he's getting ready to hop on old Curly Jaw's head there.
Yeah, I got that up there like perfectly.
It's cool looking.
Yeah, it's signed by the voice of Chucky.
Oh, Brad Dourif signed it for you? Cool.
Yeah.
Brad Dourif's still one I need to meet.
Yeah, really cool dude. And Andy Bart, a kid that played Andy, I forgot his name. But he
Alex,
wanted he wanted $60, and I'm like,
I'm thinking I did meet Alex Vincent years and years ago back in was it 04? It was 04 or somewhere about there. Long time ago. I actually went to my first horror convention, which was a Cinema Wasteland convention before I even knew, I didn't know Steve at that point. I don't even know if Steve was going to the Cinema Wastelands at that point. But this is the convention that's up in Ohio. And I did meet Alex Vincent, and I think you mentioned $60 now.
yeah.
I think 10 or 15 may have been all he was charging way back then. And I did get a picture signed by him, and I talked to him a little bit.
When is the next horror convention around the area?
Jeez, I used to be able to keep up on all these all the time. And,
I haven't been to a convention since COVID happened.
wow. So it's been a
Like,
while for
it's
you.
been 3 years. Like, it's been a while. It's time. I want to go to another one. It's been too long. So the
Yeah.
next one that comes to Louisville, I might go over there.
Yeah, that'll probably, I'd say probably about the summertime or something, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take a weekend off.
July or August or something like that. Now this is a cool effect.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little bit behind you. I think I'm going to speed it up just a little bit here.
I just wish they would get some good guests. Like the other states get better guests. Like Chicago gets really good guests.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wish we could get Daniel Harris, Scout Taylor Compton.
Now I don't remember seeing Danielle Harris at the last Scarefest, but like the first Scarefest I went to in 09, Danielle Harris was there.
I would like to meet her. Like she's on my list. I'd probably get her to sign my face.
Which
Get it tattooed on her. I mean, do you listen to their podcast? Her and Scout's podcast, keeping me. What's it called? Something scary or something.
No, I have not, but I'll be honest. I'm not a huge. I like Danielle Harris, but I do not like Scout Taylor Compton in any
You
way, shape, or form. She just rubs me the wrong way.
you didn't like her. You didn't like the scene with the donut.
No, I did not. And I'm not a prude. I'm not a prude at all. But I just thought, no, that's not. I, I guess it's not representative of my idea of Laurie Strode. But the new generation is probably spot on. Yeah, those of you in your generation, for the most part, probably Curly Johnson would probably just say, "Yeah, that's dead on. That's spot on. That's Laurie Strode." Uh, you totally get it. Now, I'm an old fogey at as old as I am, in my getting into my late 40s here. Um, I'm like I'm gonna be like here. I'm gonna be like 70 or 80 years old. Yeah, I remember when John Carpenter did the original Halloween, and it was great with Jamie Lee Curtis. And then they brought out this stupid Scout Taylor Compton and this mess, and people will be, saying, "Oh, you old woman, go hush, go sit down."
They're gonna say Halloween Ends is the best one.
Probably.
It got Cody or Corey fucking people.
They'll have shirts with Corey Cunningham on them.
I wish they didn't kill Corey off because I feel like if they ever wanted to do a fourth one, they could have called it Halloween Never Ends.
Yep.
And Corey could have been like the main I guess they could like resurrect Corey or something and maybe have Corey and Michael as a hybrid killer. Like I don't know what they would.
They'll mesh them into one person or something.
Yeah, I think David Gordon Green had something interesting with the trilogy, but I'm curious what he's going to do with The Exorcist.
I'm scared to know what he's going to do with The Exorcist.
He's going to have he said it's going to be a trilogy. I mean, like, does The Exorcist really need to be a trilogy?
Well, I guess technically the original version, they turned that into a trilogy, but but part two, I don't care what Steve says. That movie's boring as shit.
That movie's awful.
Well, I would agree with you. Most people will agree with you.
I can't defend that. That movie's just terrible. It's too long. Like it doesn't make sense. I remember. I think I watched The Exorcist 2 by accident before the original one, and my grandma's like, "Oh, you'll love it," because I thought I was watching the original Exorcist, but I was watching The Exorcist 2, and I'm like, "This movie fucking sucks." Like everybody said this movie's great, and I'm thinking I'm watching the original Exorcist, but it's actually The Exorcist 2.
See, I watched the original Exorcist, and I was just amazed at that movie.
That movie's legit creepy. Like, just the imagery is creepy. Like when you see that face, and you know what I'm talking about, right? One face. Oh my god.
Yeah, the movie is fantastic. Freaking did an awesome, phenomenal job with the movie. But I've talked about The Exorcist before. Even outside of being a horror movie, the parts that aren't even horrific are very well made. That entire movie is constructed perfectly.
I really wish they would re-release that.
Mm-hmm.
Like for an anniversary, re-release that as an anniversary thing. Like, would you go see, okay, if they say we're going to re-release The Exorcist for its whatever anniversary in 3D?
Oh, heck yeah.
That'd make money. That'd make so much money. I don't know why they don't do that.
I would try to drag Steve to see it, and if he wouldn't go, I'd find somebody else to go.
Oh, I'd go. I'd be like, we got it. Hell, I think CK and Uncle Bill would actually come over and be like, yeah.
They probably would.
That would be maybe dope. Like, I don't know why they don't do more. Like, I know they did a lot here, like around Halloween. They'll do more horror re-releases, but I think Exorcist would be one I like to see. The Shining, the original Shining.
Oh yeah. There's a
John.
lot of them. So, Paul, she say you could do a Friday the 13th Monopoly board where Jason keeps ruining your summer camp business. Yeah, that would be cool. You'd be losing money. Tim, you say we play Monopoly all the time in my house, kids and all. Yeah, my brother and sister-in-law and nephews, they have game night as a family, and I think they play Monopoly pretty a lot.
What was your favorite Jason mask?
My favorite Jason mask. It probably have to be a tie between part fours and part sevens, which part seven, I know technically there's not much of a mask there because like it's taken so much abuse at that point, and it's really about showing what Jason looks like underneath the mask in that one. But yeah, those are tied for me.
I'd say part eight. Jason Goes to Hell. That mask I thought was always cool. Jason X, the Uber Jason mask, I thought was cool. Part 5 with the blue.
That was unique.
That was a really cool mask. I really liked that one. And the tater sack mask, I thought was, that's iconic.
Yeah, that it's definitely iconic.
Like, because you're like, oh, that's.
So, Paul also says Jason wasn't that good of a holy diver in this movie. And Apollo says that scream of hers before being axed is so silly. It kind of is overblown if you think about it a little bit. Darren says that the Scout Taylor Compton Danielle Harris podcast is more about sex than anything else. Apology say scene in Ode Michael Myers was getting as sad as scene in Ode Indiana Jones. Yeah, pretty sad. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of it, I liked part 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's my favorite one.
You like that one?
Yeah, everybody shits on that one, but I mean, I like that one. I thought that one was cool.
Darren, you say, talking of The Exorcist, I saw part 3 again last night, along with Psycho 2. They're the best sequels ever made. Exorcist 3 is awesome. Have you seen Exorcist 3, Yo Curly Jaws?
No.
Oh, you need to.
After watching The Exorcist 2, I'm like, do I really want to watch The Exorcist 3?
Yeah, The Exorcist 3 makes Exorcist 2 look even more like dog shit. I kid you not.
I'm gonna have to watch 3. So I think Matt Rainbow Rap likes 3.
Yeah, Exorcist 2 kind of ruined it. Almost ruined the franchise for people, I think. And I don't. It had Linda Blair on it. It should have been great.
Is Linda Blair gonna be in The Exorcist, the new one?
I don't know, but I just figured I don't hold any ill will towards Linda Blair, but I think in more recent years, I just think she would probably rather separate herself from that franchise. I could be wrong, but I just don't see her wanting to return for anything like that. But
I mean, I kind of wish they would. I mean, like, I understand, like, okay, we did Halloween, but I'm like, I mean, Exorcist being your next project, I thought that was just that's definitely a big shift in direction, but I'll watch them, I'll see, why not?
yeah, I won't talk too much trash about it until I actually see one of them.
I want to see him. I want to see him take over. I want to see David Gordon Green take over Nightmare on Elm Street.
That one scares me too. But again, I don't want to trash talk the guy too much until I actually see what kind of a plot.
Because you know who I would get to play Freddy at this point.
Who's that?
If you're not going to get Robert Englund, which I mean, I like Robert Englund in the later sequels, but I would get the guy that played Art the Clown.
Now that's interesting. That's actually interesting. I think he would have a whole new take on it, or a whole
That would be
look.
because I mean, who else would you get if you couldn't get Robert Englund? Who else would you get?
You make a very good point, old Curly Jaws.
Hmm.
Seriously,
But,
that is an interesting idea. I almost wish somebody would do that.
like, I mean, I don't know, like if they're I mean that would be the only person I would think of that would be perfect for that role.
So Apollos is asking Darren, have you seen the ninth configuration? It has the same humor and existential moments of Exorcist 3. I wish Blatty did more movies. Actually, I wish Blatty did more movies too. Because The Exorcist 3 was based on William Peter Blatty's novel, and this is the guy that did the original Exorcist novel. He did a novel a few years after The Exorcist called Legion. And that's what The Exorcist 3 is based on. It's based on Blatty's book Legion, and Blatty ended up directing The Exorcist 3. So I think what he did with The Exorcist 3 is what he really wanted to do with The Exorcist, but Freedom was directing it.
I'm not going to watch The Exorcist 3. I think until we do I think we should do a live commentary for The Exorcist 3, like my first viewing of it.
You want to do that?
Yeah, we could do that.
And
I think that'd be a cool experience.
Okay, well, I will put that in my wheelhouse as well. I think that'll be an interesting. I'm not trying to sound nasty here, but we'll bust old Curly Jaw's cherry with The Exorcist 3.
I mean, you can't like everybody said, like you said, it's good. It can't be worse than 2.
I guarantee that you'll like it better than 2. I'd be very surprised if you hated it. Apologies say, I bet Godfather 3 will be your favorite too, old Curly Jaws.
I haven't seen any of those, so.
You've never seen any of the Godfather movies?
I'm not a big mobster movie fan, so they never intrigue me to watch them.
Mm-hmm. I never thought of myself as that kind of movie watching person either until I just took a chance and watched the first Godfather, and I was kind of hooked after that. And I mean, I've seen, although, Scarface isn't necessarily a mobster movie, it's kind of in that same vein with the Tony Montana character and all of that, and him coming from Cuba and getting into the drugs and all of that. So I have a greater appreciation for those types of movies now.
I might need to watch The Godfather. I know there's a 4K set out of the trilogy, so.
Paul says they need to make Freddy a creepy perv again.
I mean, I know a lot of people shit on what the hell? Who played Freddy in the remake?
Oh, Jackie Earle Haley.
I like Jackie Earle Haley. Everybody shits on Jackie. I thought he did all right.
I like Jackie Earle Haley in anything other than that Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I liked him in the Bad News Bears. I liked him.
Do you think you would have liked him better if they would have directed it and written it better, or like made him not look like a lot of people say he looks like a piece of chicken? So I guess
I just think, and keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion. I just think Jackie Earl Haley was not the right person to play Freddy Krueger. And maybe that's because of years of seeing Robert Englund in that iconic role. I just can't get my head wrapped around anybody else playing him. I mean, that's a possibility with me. I'm not going to say it's not.
Mm. Have you watched? Speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, did you ever watch the Nightmare on Elm Street TV show?
Yes. The Freddy's Nightmares.
Yeah, it's on. I know
Yeah.
it's on Tubi right now. That'd be a fun show to like people to be like, hey, you want to watch something really cheesy? That show is the definition of cheese. Like some of the effects, just it's hilarious.
But it's another show for me that holds a lot of nostalgia. And I've been going through the Twilight Zone from the 80s episodes. I'm doing that kind of episode breakdown.
Mm.
You mentioning Freddy's Nightmares makes me think I want to go back and watch all those Freddy's Nightmares.
Hey, if you wanted to do that, I would be down to doing like each episode, like break down each season, each episode, and do like a stream about them.
Yeah, well, if I can get my butt in gear with that, I'll definitely have you on for those. Do you remember how many seasons there were of those?
I think there was three.
Three. Okay, I didn't think there were too many.
No, like the scenes they do, like when you see Freddy, when you hear Freddy's voice, like it's really bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's really soft and really like it does not sound like Robert Englund at all, or even like trying to act like Robert Englund.
Mm.
But like then there's some scenes like that are good. There's some scenes I think Robert Englund when he did film they were good, but then there were scenes that are just like you could tell were not Freddy Robert Englund.
And there were probably this has happened to me a lot, and I'm sure it's happened to other people. Things that seemed just freaking awesome when we were kids, when we get older, they don't hold up quite as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Darren says we need some new slasher icons. Now,
Well,
there's
I
an
mean,
idea.
there's a few like yeah. I mean, I would say a lot of people would. I would say Victor Crowley, but a lot of people shit on Victor Crowley. Um, Art the Clown, Jeepers the Creeper. I mean, even though he's been around for a minute, but I would put him in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, would you put the Ghostface killer from the Scream movies in there?
I think yeah, maybe. Like I mean, that's he's. I mean, that's '90s. I would if you want to say '90s till now, like those would be like the ones I would put in there.
I mean, we could even add Candyman.
Yeah.
I mean, but I do see what Darren's saying. It's kind of we need almost a fresh for us old school people. I think we need a fresh take on some new characters, but that yet have characteristics of that old school style. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what Darren's saying, but that's what I envision. And Paul says Blatty's main contention was that he didn't want the ending to be ambiguous. He wanted to show that good triumphed. The only good scene in the extended version is the conversation with the priest. But Apollos, have you ever listened or watched that conversation that Blatty and Friedkin have? And Blatty looks at Friedkin and he said, I just don't want them to think evil won. And Friedkin says, well, I don't know how anybody could think that watching this movie. And, I'd have to side with Friedkin on that because even though he didn't have every single thing that Blatty would have liked to have been in the Exorcist film, I think there was no doubt that good triumphed over evil
Um,
at the end of that film.
Which Friday the 13th do you go back and watch the most?
I'm thinking about nowadays, back when I was a kid, it probably would have been 3 because it was so much more accessible being on
Yeah.
TV and stuff. Um, but and Curly Joe's is probably going to roll his eyes, but I probably see myself going back to part 4 over and over again, with a little bit of part 5 mixed in there because I have a greater
Mm.
appreciation for part 5 now.
Mine definitely be part 8. I go back and watch part 8 at least once or twice a year.
So y'all could probably heard Steve yelling at Sammy back there. So it's the more continuation of the thing that CK puts now. Steve screaming, "Shut up!" at the dogs. So I know they used that. I know CK used that clip on their 2022 show that they or stream that they
That,
did because I was watching that and I was like, all of a sudden, Steve goes, "Shut up!"
mm,
I know a shirt with Steve screaming "Shut up" is coming. I know that's coming. I'm just waiting for CK to announce it.
mm-hmm. I'd buy it.
I think I would probably.
I'd buy it just so I'd be wearing it. I'd be like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "This is the most epic person you need to go watch right now."
Well, Steve will
This
probably appreciate that.
is like this is Little J's.
Paul says, where they talk about why this is happening, Legion was an extension of that question of why bad things happen to good people. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that the conversation with the priests that you can see in like extended versions of The Exorcist is not important. Just the point I was trying to make is I think that Freakin did an awesome job of
Which
making.
movie?
Go ahead, old curly goss.
Which movie do you think's more scarier, The Conjuring or The Exorcist?
I would have to say The Exorcist because again, I'm old school. I loved The Conjuring. I loved it.
The last a lot of people was not happy about the last Conjuring film, but I watched it. I saw that in the theater, and that really creeped me the hell out. Especially the ending where they were showing the actual like real life recordings of the exorcisms and all that.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Like that, I don't know if you saw the third one or not, but it was really good.
Was that the devil made me do it one? Yeah,
Hmm.
I did. And a lot of people did hate that one, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. John says, sorry, in and out from dinner. That's cool, John. He says, does the crazy milk mama in Barbarian count as a slasher icon? I guess in some points of view it could, John.
I still have not watched Barbarian.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Well, I'd love to hear what you think about it after you see it.
I need to check it out. Did you watch Terrifier 2?
I did. Steve and I actually watched that together.
Did you like it?
Well, I liked the first Terrifier really well, but Terrifier 2 was not horrible. It wasn't horrible, but Steve and I both looked at each other when it was over and we said that it was just overkill. And we've watched, me and Steve both have watched a lot of gory ass movies and gruesome movies. And for both of us to look at each other when this movie was over and say that went over the top. I mean, it didn't sicken us. I mean, we weren't angry. We just thought it just went
Yeah.
a little bit.
A lot of people said it was too long, saying 2 hours is a little much.
That too.
Which I didn't. I mean, I could see. I mean, when I watched it, did I feel like it was too long? A little bit, but I mean, I thought the first one was still better.
I agree.
And I keep hearing that the third one's going to be 3 hours long.
That's just overkill. It's just overkill.
I'm like, what could you do for 3 hours with that character? Like, I mean,
Were you? I'm kind of scared to know what they would do with Art the Clown for 3 hours.
he's done some brutal ass shit. I mean, what else can he do? I mean, I would like to see him why not do I like to see more versus horror film, like do Art the Clown versus Victor Crowley or some shit,
Right.
or like I want to see more battle films, like do more horror versus films.
Let's see. Paul says, I thought The Conjuring was really good until the possession scene at the end. It might just be me, but I don't find that shit scary. It's just silly. Um, you know what? Speaking of like possession scenes, those freak my dad out really bad now. Because
Oh well, yeah. Well, I could see why your dad's, from that time period where that shit was, like if that happened, that was like the most like, oh no, this is not good.
well, when my dad was younger, like I've talked about my parents went to drive-in movies. Before I was born and after I was born, they went as well because I remember going with them to a few of them. But this one, of course, was before I was born. I wasn't born until 76, and The Exorcist came out in what, 73, 74. So dad and mom watched it, and another couple went with them, and that couple was in the back seat. And I remember my dad saying that it scared the other guy so bad that he was covering his face during most of the movie when it really kicked into high gear. Um, and my dad was okay with it then, but as he
Yeah.
got older, that stuff started giving him the heebie-jeebies, and so
Well, yeah, I could see how like that's like especially for that generation, like 'cause that was yeah, I could see how that could freak people out.
so he won't even watch The Exorcist now. And speaking of The Conjuring and the possession scene in The Conjuring, I brought The Conjuring over when it hadn't been out on DVD and Blu-ray very long. I brought it over to my parents' house, and me and my mom watched it. And Dad came in at the possession part, and he's like, Dana, this movie's creepy. He said, that stuff's creepy. I said, well, I know, Dad, but we wanted to finish up watching it. And so he stayed there for a little bit, and then he just left the room. Oh, that's okay, Blissful. We got to take phone calls. I probably should have taken that phone call earlier when my phone rang. It was probably my mom calling because I don't think I've talked to her all week. She was probably checking in with me, but I'll get with her a little later. So where are you at exactly in the movie, Oh Curly Jaws? Are you at where Alice is like barring the door yet, or are you past that?
I'm past that. I'm now she's with Mrs. Voorhees, just walking around.
Okay. Are they inside the cabin?
Yeah, I think so. She's like, which monster could have done this?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Did you know a young boy drowned here? His name was Uncle. His name was Uncle Bill.
Oh God. That's gonna be Oh Curly Jaws' movie.
Jason. He should have been watched, damn you. Nothing's more scary than an old lady like that's psychotic like that.
Yeah. And I think Betsy Palmer is just excellent in this.
Yeah, like besides this, what else has she been in?
Well, she was in a lot of older movies and like television shows and things like that. She was basically the girl next door type of character when she was young.
And today is his birthday, and you're gonna buy him a present, bitch.
I love when Betsy Palmer would talk about when Tom Savini showed her how her son was going to look. And like, she said, "Who is that?" And he said, "Well, that's your son." And she was like, "Well, why does he look so weird?" and, and that's when Tom Savini said he was a mongoloid. And she said, "Oh, what?"
To him. Damn, this. Ooh.
So this is kind of, this and Halloween are basically the forerunners of people not finishing the killer off when they should have. They basically, stab them one time or hit them with something one time and then
Yeah.
walk away.
It's like you don't like if you somebody's like you make sure they're done. Like
Right.
come back here, you bitch. The music to this movie was great. The soundtrack and the score.
Oh, yeah.
Killer.
I love too these close up shots of Betsy Palmer's mouth as she's speaking in Jason's voice.
Jason goes to him. The final fight.
And Adrian King basically talks about this scene coming up when Betsy Palmer gets in there and she's slapping Adrian King around. That Adrian King said that Betsy Palmer was really slapping the hell out of her.
He's like, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you.
Because I think Betsy Palmer had been in a lot of plays too. And so when they do stuff in plays, if they slap somebody, they really slap them. Well, that's not going to work. She can't get those chains and locks off with the gun. Unless she wants to try to shoot it off there.
God, she's so terrifying.
I think we as just human beings in general have a fear of mental illness. I mean, that's just a natural thing, I think. And I think that's what makes these characters so terrifying.
I'm gonna slap the shit out of you.
Exactly. So this is where she was really slapping the shit out of poor Adrian King.
Oh shit.
But again, she doesn't finish her off.
I think it would have been better if the at the end of the movie, like Jason does show up. Like we know he does show up, but it'd been funny if he was like sitting on her shoulder like a little mongoloid child.
Like the angel and the devil thing.
He's just like sitting on her shoulder and he's like whispering, "Get him, man!" They're gonna do the Friday the 13th, the special edition. They're gonna edit that in there.
You could re-edit it on Curly Jaws, and you could put that in there.
I tried to re-edit Madman and put it on YouTube, and they were like, it was blocked in like 15 countries. I'm like, oh.
Did you guys know that actually when the character of Brenda falls through the window a little bit earlier, that was actually Tom Savini with a wig on? There's actually pictures of him. It's so funny.
Boopity boopity. Don't you get some Psycho vibes from Betsy Palmer?
Kind of. Yeah, now that you mention it. Like reverse Psycho vibes, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder how this would if they shot this in black. Like, I'm sure anybody could re-edit this in black and white. I wonder how it would look.
Oh, that's interesting too. I don't know. I bet somebody could do it though with digital tools.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. I always find the scenes where somebody thinks they're hid good, and you can see the doorknob behind them start to turn.
Yeah. See, that would piss me off.
And the look,
I would have been like, bitch, can you just leave me alone?
That look, though, when she busts in that door and you just see kind of part of her face, and then she swings the machete. And again, oh, there's blood. She must be dead now. That's what Alice is thinking, I guess.
Like, I mean, she's probably not the best final girl.
I really like her, and she's a very nice person. If you meet her at a convention stuff, because I met her a few years back, she was really sweet. And she has her own wine company, like Crystal Lake Wines or something like that.
Huh. I wonder if it's any good.
I don't know. I thought about buying some or just buying a bottle and seeing how it was. But I've never gotten around.
I would see how much it is first. I would be like, have some for the next Friday the 13th for the next film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, we're coming up on the big scene of the movie.
This is one tough old broad. Like, at this point, I'd be pissed off. I'm like, will this old bitch just leave me alone?
Yeah, I want to get away from her.
I'm like, what is your deal? Like, I mean, I'm sorry your mongoloid is not here, but it's not my fault.
I wonder if she was really biting her there, because she was really slapping her earlier. But
I wonder if he. Uh,
So we're coming up on the really big scene.
Probably the most famous scene in the movie.
Now the hands that come up here, do you guys notice some hair on the back of those hands?
Yeah,
Those are
yeah,
not
that's
bits.
Kane Hodder.
Oh well, it's actually Tasso Stravakis,
Oh,
Tom Savini's assistant and friend on this movie.
what? Why? I mean, why would you go in? Why would you go in the canoe? Like, you cut the lady, you cut the old crazy bitch's head off. So now we're getting the canoe now.
I don't know. They do that. I mean, Dana Kimmel ends up getting in a canoe on part 3. I know too.
Maybe they feel secure in the canoe. Maybe that's the. I don't like canoes. I've been in one, and I feel like I'm gonna fall out of it.
I've been in boats, but I've never been in a canoe per se, so I couldn't tell you.
Knowing my luck, some Mongol would jump out of the water.
In a way, they don't necessarily call Jason a mongoloid on the movie, but this movie's really very un-PC in that aspect. Just the idea of having a child look like that.
He's a Mongoloid. And he's gonna get in the water.
People are so sensitive nowadays that a lot of these old school movies would never get made now.
No. This scene right here, oh my god. I did not expect when I was watching this for the first time. Yeah, I jumped. Now you know it's gonna happen. But when you
Right.
first watch this movie and don't see that coming, you will shit yourself.
That was exactly the effect that I believe Sean Cunningham and Harry Manfredini, who did the music, wanted.
A lot of people said they should have just ended it like that. What do you think?
It wouldn't have been a bad movie if they had ended it there, but I think they wanted one more stinger. I really think that's what they wanted. They
Plus,
wanted they wanted Alice to say, "Well, what about the boy?" and the cop to say, "We didn't find any boy." And then that last sentence coming up here where she says, "Then he's still there." And of course, that leaves it wide open for a sequel, of course.
yeah. Which one do you prefer, the original or part 2 more?
I mean, part 2 introduces Jason even more, but I still have to go with the original.
Man.
And that cop's looking at her like she's crazy. He's still there. And I love too the final scene where it fades from Alice's face to the lake. And the first time I watched this, I was convinced that something else would happen. If you notice how the water is rippling,
Yeah.
Expecting a hand or something to come up.
I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah. So we have reached the end of this watch along. Friday the 13th. I'm going to look at, because I'm sure that I missed some.
So the next movie it wants me to watch, because it says your next movie is going to start in 5 minutes, is Halloween H2O.
Interesting that it would pick that one.
Yeah, which I'm like, I mean, not my favorite Halloween film, but I don't hate it.
So Apollo says that the cat fight, he said, now starts the longest cat fight in movie history until They Live came out. Exactly. Terrence says we need a Blizzard Bob versus Chucky movie. That would be interesting. Darren, you say the first time I saw Jason come out of the water at the end, I almost had a heart attack. Yeah, so you pretty much had the same response as old Curly Jaws did.
Because I didn't expect it. Like, that was that. I mean, seeing that for the first time, but now that you know it's gonna happen, you kind of wish you don't. Wish it was. You don't wish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know it's gonna happen, but now you wish you did know it was gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Apollo says the music is also a variation on the Psycho theme. Yeah, it's very Psycho-esque. Although I guess not so much that they would have gotten sued or Harry Manfredini would have gotten sued. I didn't think about old Curly Jaws looking like he's in a found footage film. But that's interesting. You said the camera's shaking everywhere and constantly bobbing and weaving. You use your phone, don't you? Oh, Curly Jaws. Yeah.
Yeah, I use my phone to do my editing, my everything.
Darren says Amy Steele is the best final girl. Amy Steele, of course, is from part 2.
My favorite.
She's a strong final girl. Yeah.
My favorite final girl is in part 8.
Okay. So Jensen Daggett's character of Rennie.
Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people don't talk about that final girl a lot at all. Which is, I mean, I think she's one of the best ones.
And I thought that was an interesting, up until then, the final girls hadn't, and I know it's new year, new look, and all that stuff, but none of the final girls had that look that Jensen Daggett did in part 8.
I definitely like to do a part 8 commentary. That's one that I think a lot of people like that one.
Maybe I can get that one in my wheelhouse too. I'm trying to keep a list of all these so that when I'm trying to come up with watch alongs, and I can say, oh, we'll pull one from here and there. Paul says, I always wondered how this old woman was strong enough to pull off all these kills in the movie, and then Alice gives her the lightest tap and she falls over.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's some kind of unrealisticness to it, but then you're like, oh, well, it's Friday the 13th movie.
It looks like Wes is back in here, or maybe he was in here all the time. He was talking like he says, I don't know how Richard Band didn't get sued for the Reanimator score. Exactly. I've wondered the same thing. Amy Steele is the best. I know, I think both CK and Uncle Bill have a sweet spot when it comes to Amy Steele. And I'm not going to say that she's not. I won't say she's the best for me, but she's up there as far as final girls. So, Curly Jaws, you got anything that you want to bring up before we get off here?
I don't know if you do you have HBO Max?
I do. Yeah.
So did you watch the new Velma series that came out on there?
I have not had a chance to check that out yet. You're laughing.
I didn't hate it, but I could see a lot of people not liking it at all. Like, the there is some stuff that I was just like scratching my head at. Like Shaggy's no longer Shaggy.
Yeah.
It's called Norville, or that's the name of the
Ain't he a
character.
white
Yeah,
guy? I,
and
I'm not trying to sound racist here. I just cannot imagine. Like Shaggy always for me was some hippie dude with his dog Scooby, and you
yeah,
always knew those Scooby snacks were some kind of pot or something like that. You knew Shaggy was smoking pot behind the scenes, and I
yeah.
can imagine a black guy being
It's
in
just,
the role.
I just, like I said, I didn't hate it. I just don't know how to like comprehend it. I watched the first episode and I didn't mind it. I'm gonna watch the second episode probably before tonight because I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna do a video on the second episode.
Uh-huh.
But so far, Scooby's not in it. Fred's kind of like a piece of shit, basically.
Oh man.
And Daphne is like, like you think, oh, Daphne would be a slut. Well, she's a slut in this.
Oh.
And Velma's just Velma, but I don't know. Like, I'm gonna give it I'm gonna watch some more episodes, but like,
Oh no, it's ruining my childhood there. I grew up on Scooby Doo.
yeah, I'm like, I mean,
Didn't have Scooby Doo, and I mean I know it's the Velma show, but
yeah,
to not
like
have Scooby in there.
so far I haven't seen Scooby in it, but I'm like, if he wanted to do a rated R Scooby Doo, then I would have liked to done it like with those movies that came out back in the
Oh
2000s.
yeah, and weren't those just like PG-13 when they were?
Yeah, though they were, I think maybe PG or PG-13, but I think the original one was actually there was an R cut. Don't know where that cut is at, but there is apparently that movie was originally going to be rated R,
Interesting.
which I'm like, I wish they would have just left it at that.
Yeah, I may have to check that out. But we do have HBO Max. I think that's the thing that we have with our new internet. I think when I got Steve on board with us getting AT&T fiber, I think that was part of the package deal was getting HBO Max with the internet. So, Paul says, I had a good night, Dana. No Curly. Thanks. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, Apollos. And I'm glad that I had old Curly Jaws on here with me because evidently nobody else was going to jump on here with me tonight. Darren says, it's been a good stream, guys. Have a good one. You too, Darren.
Thank you, love.
And Wes says, Uncle Bill is ranking Friday the 13th films at 10 p.m. Stay up with us, boss. Okay. Darren says, will do, CK. So I guess Darren's going to be hopping on over there to Uncle Bill's stream here shortly. And Paula says, at Dead Pit Radio, I need my beauty sleep, CK. So, well, it's been fun as always. I love having old Curly Jaws on here. He's always keeps me on my toes, and I think we have a lot of fun going back and forth with different things and stuff like that. So again, thank you, old Curly Jaws, for being on here with me tonight. Or Ronnie James Dio, Jason, Little Jason, Disco Inferno, Jason.
Jason.
All the many Jasons that we had, all the faces of Jason.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody that was in here in the chat tonight. We had a pretty full chat. I don't think we ever hit the 13 mark, but that's okay. We got pretty close. We had 12 in here at one time. So yeah, definitely, guys. I'm gonna skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I don't know if I'll make it over. Uncle Bill will be mad at me. I don't know if I'll make it over to Uncle Bill's ranking of the Friday 13th films, or I'm just going to go relax in the living room and watch some Friday the 13th films, starting with 2. See how many I can get in before the 12 o'clock hour. Well, hell, I might just watch them all weekend. It don't have to be just tonight. We can do the whole weekend. Steve will be like, you know. But yeah, I'm gonna skedaddle on out of here for the night, guys. Have a wonderful remainder of your Friday the 13th. Have a fantastic weekend. And we'll hopefully, I don't know how many of you are off for Martin Luther King Day. I normally was at other jobs, but evidently I've been told that the employer I'm working for now, which are orthodontists, that's their biggest production day of the year. And I'm guessing because almost everybody and their grandmother is off on Martin Luther King Day, I guess people want to bring their kids in for braces or get them set up for braces or whatever the case may be. So they let me have a half a day off, but they said it'd be great if I could work the morning hours because it's probably gonna be busy on the old help desk. So I'll get the last half of the day off, but other than that, I'll be working. Wes says, I live in Eastern Kentucky. Nobody cares about MLK here. Shh, don't let anybody hear you say that, Wes. Tim says, good times, y'all. Well, I'm glad you had a great time, Tim. And on that note, again, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everybody on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.
Have a good night.
You have a good night, Hulk Hogan Jason.
Have a good night.